Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the Mitsubishi Montero channel. In this video, we are going to replace the valve covers on the blue Montero. We did the valve cover gaskets recently, and as I showed you, I don't know if I showed you, but take a look how they were. Look at it now. Anyway, so we're gonna do the valve covers. We bought new valve covers. Here's one I got on eBay. It's a brand new. Valve cover. It's probably Chinese, but it doesn't look like really bad quality. It looks like the original one. It feels like the original one in terms of the thickness of the metal and stuff like that. And this one I got on Amazon, but this one's a little bit different than the original. The only thing, the one thing that's different is that where the PCV goes, you have to use like a little pipe. I don't know, maybe like a 3/8 pipe, and then maybe I'll have to cut it from the original one and put it in here. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'll figure it out. But the original one has a little pipe sticking out, and then the PCV valve screws on there. So we'll figure something out. But in terms of the timing marks and stuff like that, it's basically the same. I did get the gaskets. I did get the Fel-Pro gaskets from Amazon. But this is just Fel-Pro VS 50461R. And it comes with the not only the gasket but also the little seals for the spark plug holes. I got the gaskets from Lisle Overland, and all they sent was the gaskets, not these little seals over here. I guess you have to get those separate from Lisle, but these come as a whole. Also, as you know, the valve covers, even the original ones, are not very, very sensitive. And a lot of times when you're installing valve cover gaskets and valve covers, you're reinstalling them, you tend to over torque because you think that the tighter you make it, the better it's gonna sit. That's not the case. That's not the case on the Montero. That's not the case. You have to torque it to the proper specification. And I have this little torque wrench. That I used many times. I used this torque wrench last time I did the valve covers, and it sort of works, you know, because you can kind of gauge where it is and everything else, but it's not 100% accurate. Obviously, you kind of go a little more or a little bit less. Usually you tend to go a little more, and then a lot of times you end up over tightening it. But this torque wrench works really well when you're doing the timing belt, when you're torquing the tensioner to 39 inch-pounds. As you tighten the bolt, it works really good for that, for setting the preload for the timing belt tensioner. This works better for that purpose rather than the click ones, the ones that you click. So this torque wrench I'm not going to use for the valve cover job that we're about to do right now. Instead, I bought this other one that when I got it, I was super impressed with it. I just searched on Amazon for an inch-pound torque wrench, inch-pound torque wrench, the clickable type, and there's a few options that came up, but I ended up getting this one right here. Look at this, super nice torque wrench, LEXIVON. No, absolutely, no, I have no affiliation with this company at all, but I was really impressed by this little torque wrench. So let me unbox it, and that way you can see what's in the box and everything else, and some of the functions that it has. So let's just well, I'm not gonna change the camera. Let's just do that right here. So let's see here. Very simple. It's got this little stupid thing. Hang on. Where is it? So comes in this little cool little case. See that? And then we open it up, and we have little paperwork, instruction manuals and stuff like that. A little piece of foam, and then this little warranty, little whatever thing, 2 years warranty. And then here's the little tool, super cool. Let me just get it. And it's got the little section where it goes in. so you can store it when you're done using it. But look at this. This thing is so cool. It's got Newton meters, inch pounds. It's got the little, you know, you put your setting and you lock it like that. It's a 1/4 inch drive. And this is what I'm going to use when I put the valve covers on, and I'm going to torque the bolts that go around. And this would be a lot more accurate than this one, than the other one that I showed you. So I thought it was pretty cool little torque wrench for this job. Last time we did the job, as you saw, there was absolutely no way that the new gaskets were going to seal. So it's a leaking mess. I mean, this Montero is leaking so much oil from the valve cover gaskets. So now that we have new stuff, proper torque, we're gonna hopefully eliminate that problem from the blue Montero. And so let me take you through the process of doing that. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So here's the valve covers, the gaskets, some tools that I'm going to need. There's the Montero right there. Look at, as you can see, there's a bunch of oil down there that it spilled. Yesterday I also removed the thermostat because we're gonna get a new one. I did get these fender covers just to be a little more, have a little more protection on the Montero. All right, guys, so I like to, as you guys know, not a very tall guy, but I like to set up the Montero when I'm working on the engine area. I like to set it up like this, lift it from the back, lower the tire pressure. That way I can reach the items right here, because right now we're going to start taking all this stuff off, and it just makes it easier for me to reach everything back here, everywhere. So that's kind of how I do it. So, you know, if you're a tall dude, then you probably don't have to do that. But all right, so let's keep going here. All right, guys, so we're going to start disassembling everything here. We're removing the battery, the air cleaner, and the upper intake manifold so we can access the valve covers. So now we have the air cleaner box out, we have the battery and the tray out. Now we have to start disconnecting items from the intake manifold so we can unbolt it. We're at a point where we remove the intake manifold, and obviously next step, when you remove the intake, clean the area there with some brake cleaner and then put some masking tape just to prevent anything from falling in there. The last thing you want is to drop something in there, not know about it, start the engine, and screw up your piston or your valve. And then here is Sam installing some of that tape on there. Installing. So we did get the intake manifold out. It's right here. So we removed the old valve covers. So we're at the point where we're just setting up the new ones here. There's a lot of things to remove. Obviously, when you remove the valve covers, you have to loosen the timing belt cover a little bit so it can come out. Same thing with this side. Doing this job also gives you a chance to check your timing belt, make sure that it's in good shape. Just by looking at this, I know that when they did the timing belt last time, they did not do the camshaft seals. I can see because it's pretty rusty. Usually you clean this up really well when you do them. Also, the timing belt, the valve covers, the original valve covers are super screwed up. Look at this one. Look at this is what happens when you over tighten them. You just mess up the metal part of it, and now the gasket has nowhere to go. This one's even ripped here. Not sure what happened here, but we do have a little bit of an issue because the driver's side valve cover where the PCV connects, it's a little bit different. See, this one has that little pipe that comes out and you put the PCV in here. The original one doesn't have that. It's got a little grommet where you stick a little pipe in there. So we are gonna have to improvise something so we can connect our PCV. I'll show you the other one. There's tip issues over here because we have this grommet instead of the pipe coming out of there. So we had to come up with this little elbow that we got at the hardware store. So that's going to go in there, and the PCV is going to be connected. Let me connect it real quick. So the PCV is going to be right there. So it's going to be just like the original one, but obviously you know, it's just something that we kind of improvised. We just went to the hardware store and got these little adapters and made it work. So if you get one of these valve covers, that just keep in mind that you're gonna have to do something like this, which is not really a big deal. It's just a PCV valve. As long as everything is you know, properly inserted here, it should do a good function. All right, guys, so we're at the point where we're cleaning the surface where the gasket's gonna sit, and I do have little spots with silicone that's all gonna get cleaned off, because last time I did it, obviously I used a little bit of silicone. This side as well, but I didn't use a lot of silicone on this side. So obviously make sure when you're doing this job, make sure that you nothing falls in here, no silicone, nothing like that, little pieces of anything. We got one cover on. We got all the bolts on there. On the two rear bolts here, we had to put a double washer because the bolt wouldn't go in as far as the other ones. So we put a double washer so we can go push down on the valve cover sooner. And then we torqued everything to 20 inch-pounds, and then we ended at 28 inch-pounds. The average, or the specification, it's a little bit strange. Here's Sam putting the other gasket on the other valve cover. But if you look at the specification, Sam, I'm gonna lower this a little bit. We're gonna get copyrighted. So if you look at this spec, it says 26 plus or minus 4. And the other part of the repair manual, same situation, it says 31 plus or minus 4. Oh, actually it's 30, not 31, Sam, not 30. It's fine, it's close enough. So we just had to take an average of both specs, and we got to 38. So we used our little 28, I'm sorry. So we used our little torque wrench here, which worked really well. I'm going to demonstrate on this side, to get to 28 inch-pounds. And as you can see, the bolts are on there properly. The pressure washer is compressed, but the metal on the valve cover is not bent at all, and that's the way it should be. All right, so let's proceed with the next one. Got it, Sam?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so down.
So we got the valve cover back on there. We got all the bolts in there. It was a little tricky to get the one in the corner over there, but we managed to do it. Now this bolt here on this side, this bolt we had to use 2 washers, because when you bolt it in dry, it won't go in all the way. So like I said before, so the bolt can make contact with the valve cover as you're torquing it down. We had to use a couple of washers on there to make sure that we had the proper torque spec. Not too tight, Sam, not too tight.
Oh, shit.
So now we're just gonna torque the bolts using this torque wrench. We're gonna give it one pass at 20 inch-pounds. 20 inch-pounds. So
Same order.
that one over there.
Okay.
Go slow, really slow, until you hear it crack, feel it crack. You gotta go slower than that. There. All right, so we are torquing 20. We're gonna give it one pass, 20 inch-pounds, with the little torque wrench, and there it is. Now go to that corner over there. And then the next pass will be 28 inch-pounds, and that's the final. Alright guys, so we're just putting everything back. We got the coils in here. Make sure your spark plug wires are aligned properly. Otherwise you have to take this guy off to come back and fix that. So right now we know that they're okay. So let's keep going here. Seems to be at 7. I just found something else.
Oh,
really
what the
important.
hell?
What? So this one is on, but gotta make sure the back is on. So this front bolt is on there. Now, as I mentioned before, the gasket has a little tab that you have to make sure that it's there. All right, guys. Well, here's the Montero. It's been about 100 miles since the job, and I think that did the trick. No more leaks from the valve cover gaskets. As you know, on these Monteros, you get that leak on the corner over here, right there. And this one seems to be normal, but obviously we'll drive it a little bit more and see if that does the trick. That did the trick. But for now, I'm pretty confident just based on the process that we used. Here's the other side. Right there, you get the puddle of oil right there on that corner. So once again, just kind of to recap what we did, I would highly recommend to get that little torque wrench that I'm talking about, and I'll put it on the description below. I'll put a link so you can get it. It's on Amazon. I think it's under $50 or something like that. It's not that expensive. And also I'll put the links to the new valve covers that I got. I got one on Amazon and the other one I got on eBay, but I'll just put a screenshot of the actual product. And just a couple of recap here, just to recap what we did. One very important thing is when you're putting on your bolts, you know, you have to, before you put the valve cover on top of the head, I would recommend, as I mentioned before, to put these on put it on the bolt hole. Make sure you can manually go all the way. Maybe clean out the bolt hole with some WD-40, some brake cleaner. Make sure there's nothing inside. But if you do all that and it still won't go in all the way, then you have to use a double washer. Use a double washer, because otherwise you won't get a proper torque specification on your bolt down there. Also, make sure that you don't over tighten these. Look at this one. Look at it. So whoever did this before cranked it down really hard, bent the metal. This is not very thick metal, so if you crank it down, it'll just bend, and the gasket will have no function at that point. So make sure you do not over tighten these. The other thing, as I mentioned before, this is the original one, and as you can see, it's got this little pipe coming out, and this is where your PCV connects to. The new one doesn't have that. As I mentioned before, it's got a grommet, so you have to go to the hardware store and buy those little adapters that I showed you, and make your own little connection there, as it is right there. So those are available any hardware store. I'm pretty sure Lowe's, Home Depot has them, so it shouldn't be that difficult to find. But anyway, so that basically concludes the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. And also, if you have a comment or question or anything like that, let me know. Also, please like and share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. If you're watching the video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. Just go ahead and do it. And we'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you guys. Bye.